Welcome to Trophy Bros. My name's Caleb, and this is Kit with me. Give a little wave, Kit. There you go. We're excited to be able to launch our first episode of Trophy Bros. And to kind of get us started, we wanted to share a little bit about who we are, where we're from, and what kind of got us to this point. And then we're going to share a little bit about our best trophy, our greatest trophy, or maybe just our favorite trophy. And then that's going to be our episode for this evening. So, Kit, why don't you start us off and share just a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and what got you to this point?
Yeah, man, absolutely. Again, my name's Kit. I lived here in Middle Wells my entire life. We kind of bounced around. We lived out in the Garner area, and we came to Middle Wells when I was about 8 years old. And we've been here ever since. It's where I met my wife at church. I know I keep saying a lot. I'm trying to get past that. But I met my wife, Kaylee, at church when I was a freshman. We didn't start dating though until I was a junior in high school. And you know we were high school sweethearts. We ended up getting married in 2009. We have 4 wonderful children, ranging from 14 all the way down to 1. Huge gap there, but it's definitely a blessing. But both my parents grew up here. I have a brother, Clay, and a sister, Krista. And it's just I love this little small town, Middle Wells, man. It's great to raise a family in. It's just an awesome little town, and my occupation that I do is I work for the family business. Kaylee's family has a lawn care and irrigation business, and I've been working there ever since I was a junior in high school. And so it really kind of gives me the freedom to be a dad and to be able to make all the games and baseball games and volleyball games, and just gives me a whole lot of freedom, and I really enjoy that. And but yeah. That's me in a nutshell, man.
Yeah, so how is it working with your father-in-law? Or should I even ask, because if he ever listens to this, maybe it's not the best thing.
Sometimes it gets there, but I mean, we make it work.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm sure he feels the same way at times too. Or you know him, he can kind of passively aggressive,
right?
Say something.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, for me, I haven't grown up. My story's a little bit different than kids. I haven't grown up in Mineral Wells. In fact, I grew up in further East Texas, closer to the Louisiana border. So for me, that's where I spent a lot of my childhood, teenage years, and even my college years until I got married. And I'm in ministry, and so because of that, we go where the Lord leads us in that regard. So for us, me and my wife, we got married. She still had a couple of, she had 1 semester left of nursing school, and so we stuck around until she finished that, and then we went a little bit further west towards the metroplex of Dallas-Fort Worth area, in a suburb of Greenville and Sulphur Springs area. And we served at a church there. We went from serving in a church when we first got married of about, over 2,000 people in our church to a church that maybe on a good Sunday we might have had 40. So we went from one extreme to the other, and that's kind of what we really desired, was to have one extreme and the other extreme, just to be able to see both sides, not to be one-sided in that regard. So for me, it was neat. From there, we moved to between Austin and College Station and served at a church there, and it was wonderful. That's where we started having our babies, and so we had our son, who is now 16, fixing to turn 17 in a couple of weeks, or probably less than a couple of weeks, a week and a half. And then my daughter, who's going to be turning 15 in March. And so for us, that's where our family really kind of became whole, was in Giddings, Texas. in between Austin and College Station. We moved to Oklahoma, and then now we are in. I said no. We moved to Oklahoma, and now we're here. It's like we blew
Let's just
past it.
bypass Oklahoma there.
Yeah,
Huh?
Oklahoma was like I consider kind of like our missionary field, our missionary state. We went and served up there, and it was great to be able to be up there and to serve. We learned a lot about who we were as a family, and just some really sweet people that we minister to. But the Lord led us into Mineral Wells, and it's been crazy. And so that's kind of even the theme of the town is crazy water and all that kind of stuff. Shout out.
Yeah. Sponsor.
Yeah. So, but we've been here almost 9 years. It'll be 9 years in May.
It's been a fast 9 years.
Yeah, it's been a great 5 or 9 years for us. It's a church to where we've really developed some really incredible friends like you and your family, Kit, and many others as well. That it's just been that stage of life to where our kids are just hitting that sweet spot to where they're becoming more independent. They're becoming their own individual people, and it's awesome, an awesome stage of life. And I don't know, you're right there on the cusp of it, of getting to that point too, with your oldest being 14, and
Yeah, then we decided to start over.
yeah, and then you started over. So for us, Mineral Wells has been a great place, and for us, my wife's a nurse, your wife's a nurse, and so we basically call them our sugar mamas.
Oh, yeah.
Money.
Money.
Yeah. So, but we both do things that aren't necessarily the most financially rewarding, but everything else about our careers it works best for our family.
Oh, absolutely.
It allows Kit to be with his family. For me, especially at the age to where my kids are, they're both in. I'm a youth pastor, and so my kids are both in my ministry and involved heavily at the church with us. My wife is involved in that as well, and so for us, that it just works. And not to say that we get paid janky by any means, but our wives being in the medical industry they kind of top us out. We're secure in that, and that's why I think more for the most part, because that makes us trophy husbands, right?
Oh, absolutely. Look at us.
And so that's kind of because we're trophy husbands, we're the trophy bros.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the essence of what we were. It's kind of a tongue in cheek. We were kind of joking around when we kind of came up with a name about it, but in essence, this whole podcast experiment for us was kind of spurred on by my son and one of his friends who have a podcast called Y'all Are Crazy.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out to them. And they talk about random stuff, from different things, from the craziest, the best steak in town to the best steak they've ever had to
Curry can name knows every single root beer.
Yeah, he can taste test them. So we're going to put them to the test on this podcast too. So we may have some crossover in that regards. But for us, that's kind of the essence of what we are. We're really centered in our faith, around our family, and and we want to do life together. We feel like the relationships are the most key element of our life, and so those are the most valuable things. And so that's kind of where we're at. So, Kit, let me ask you, what is your best or most significant trophy?
I really thought a lot about this question here. So my best looking trophy, I kind of told you about it the other day, is our first place soccer trophy. It was super tall, and it had like this black plaque thing that stood up behind it. And they handed it out to us, and I remember seeing one of my teammates just take off running, and that thing just snapped. And so my mom snatched it out of my hands. But the one that kind of means the most to me, well, one of the ones that means the most to me, is so in '94, me and my brother and my mom were in a pretty terrible car accident out there by Lake Mineral Wells. And she fell asleep at the wheel, and we kind of went off the road there. And my side of the car got ripped off, and I was the only one that was able to get out. and my mom was yelling, you know, you got to go to the road to get help. So I went to the road and started waving my arms like crazy, and 17 cars passed me before one stopped. Me personally, I don't remember the name of the lady that stopped, but my mom knows her. But I remember my first grade teacher, Miss Cromines. She pushed for the city council and the mayor and all this to give me a nice like recognition plaque, and it was just, it really meant to me like, man, I did something for my family, like. Because we were so far off the road, like you couldn't see us. Like all you saw, my mom had some clothes because our washing machine went out, and so she had some clothes in the back of the trunk, and all you could see were just like clothes everywhere in the
just
trees,
scattered.
Yeah, I mean it was insane, and but I mean ultimately the best trophy is my family. I mean they keep me striving to do great and to be a better dad and just a better person in general.
Yeah.
So what's yours, man?
So for me, man, I've never been on like a team that it was just like we're state bound or we're gonna be. I mean, I've won a couple like city league like softballs or something like that, but to be honest, I haven't won a whole lot of those either, or one that doesn't really stand out to me. I've gotten close a couple times. I remember playing in a church league tournament that was a fundraiser for the local high school, and I mean, we played like, man, it was probably like 6 or 7 games, like in the middle of the summer, in one day. Like it was a tournament.
Those are awful.
And then like we made it to the championship, but by the time I made it to the championship, I was so spent, I was exhausted, and I mean, I smelled sour and all that kind of stuff. I remember that, but because it was fun. We did it with a bunch of people in our church at that time. So and I love playing those kind of games. Like when I was dating my wife, she worked at the same place that her mom worked, and their company did like a company softball game. So they just broke the team up, the company into 2 parts, and we had 2 teams, and we were like, it was Spanish names, and I don't remember how to even pronounce them, but we were the Squirrels versus the Armadillos. And it was fun. I mean, to me, I just love doing those things. So I really don't have like the moment where like it came down to the last moment and everybody was on pins and needles and the winning kick, and we hoisted people up. I mean, we were just lucky to throw Gatorade on people.
Yeah.
If we won a game, but for me, man, I can't put a name on one thing to say, you know, this is my greatest one, but I'm a lot like you. It's my family that is my greatest trophy. I look at my kids, and they're my greatest trophies. I look at my wife, and she really, we call ourselves trophy husbands, but we really have trophy wives. And she's my trophy. And so, you know, my favorite baseball team is the Texas Rangers. And so they just won the World Series. Woo, woo.
Yeah.
And they'll represent, you know, season tickets if you want to give us some.
Yeah, sponsorship, Texas Rangers.
But for them to win, I kind of look at it like this. They win the World Series trophy, and they pass it around. We watch the World Series parade and all that. But they're going to get a World Series ring, too. For every single person that was on that team, whether they –
even the office people.
Yeah, the office people. My in-laws know somebody that's high up in the front office area that does a lot of their finances, and you know, he's even talking about how all these people are getting rings and all that kind of stuff, and so they're excited about those things. But it's not really even the trophy. It's just a representation of that trophy, of the championship. And so I kind of look at it in that regards, that my wife is the trophy, but I get to wear a wedding band to kind of represent, so people know, hey, I'm part of something that's really awesome.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I look at it too, man. But I can't think, man. I know I can go back to when I played Pee Wee baseball. We went undefeated and we won, but I don't remember getting. Well, we got a little bitty.
You ever get those participation trophies though?
I mean, that's essentially what it was for Pee Wee. Oh, I remember going.
Some of those were pretty sick though, man.
Not ours. Ours was janky.
I remember one of them had like a spinning soccer ball in it.
Not ours. We had for our little league baseball though. We had like one of the greatest pitchers He could throw so hard for a little kid. Oh my gosh. But he was so wild, and so that was kind of our strategy. We would hit at least one. We'd hit them all at least once, and that way they were terrified because he threw hard. I mean, those kids had to have bruises. I was glad he was on my team.
Yeah. Oh man.
So he wound up getting control of it, and he pitched in high school when I was in high school too. So, but yeah, we never really won a whole lot. I would love to say that our district was crazy stupid hard, but it may not. It's like the year after we graduated, the class behind us went deep into the playoffs, and then I think another year after that, 2 years after we got out, they went all the way to state or something like that. So it was great to see them. Oh, I'm happy for them. Really, I am. Really. No, I am.
Sounds like you are there, buddy.
Yeah.
Really.
I went to a college that had like a national championship soccer team. Had a roommate that got like a nice trophy and a ring in college, but not me. They didn't give. For some reason they don't give rings to the roommates.
That's dumb.
Yeah, it should have been. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, why? We ask about these trophies and accolades, and we push them towards sports. What is your favorite sport, man?
Oh man, it's going to be a toss up between basketball and baseball.
Yeah.
I love coaching both of them. I love playing both of them. So it's just, I mean, really, it's a hard toss up.
Well, I mean, for you, when you were in high school, you had to step out of athletics for a little bit. Why don't you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So my sixth grade year, I kind of, everyone has to go in the PE, like what do they call it? The closet I guess the storage closet, you could call it. And that's where they check your back for scoliosis, right?
You went into the closet?
Yeah. I came back out of it, though.
Okay.
But, so I did my scoliosis screen, and they said, man, we need to kind of keep an eye on this. Well, eventually, going into my freshman year, I don't know how they got wind of it, but I had to do a rescreen for scoliosis, and I had to go to a specialist over at Scottish Rite Hospital in Dallas. And that's when they told me that I couldn't play sports anymore. I was 2 degrees off from having surgery, from having a metal rod put in my back. And they won't do that until it hits that certain degree. But yet, there was nothing else that I could really do. And so, me, at the time, I was huge into football. I was doing everything I could to try to make it to that next level. And when they said that, I was pretty pumped. I was supposed to be starting up on JV next night as a freshman, and I was pretty pumped. And so I had to go back and tell my coach. And so, at that time, as any kind of Texas small town, it's all about the football program, and so I was kind of useless. I was no good, and so that they were like, yeah, all right, so we'll need to change your schedule and all this.
But you were pretty intense. Like you were like good at football.
Yeah.
To the point to where they were bringing you up like as a sophomore or even potentially a freshman.
Yeah, I was really good at it. I worked.
Being modest over there.
Yeah.
I was okay.
But no, my basketball coach really stepped in and said, I know you can't play, but I need someone to kind of take the reins during the summertime and coach them in summer league and do all this kind of stuff. And
did he tell you that after you got out of the closet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, way after I got out of the closet. But Coach Brown or Pat Brown and Chris Simmons, man, they just took me in and they taught me everything they knew, and that's where I really fell in love with the sport of basketball and coaching and doing all that, to where I even had the opportunity to kind of coach up here at the CCS, the Community Christian School here, for a couple of years, and but then it kind of got to the point where my kids were really stepping into the sports scene, and I want to be there to pursue or push them and just be their biggest fan too. So yeah, man.
So if you could do one or the other, if you could coach or play, what would you rather do?
I'd rather coach.
Okay.
I just
See, I'm the
a coach can make an impact on a kid's life
yeah,
so much more than just being a player.
and I get that. I don't know, but I'll be honest with you. I don't know. As I've gotten older, I've kind of leaned that way, but I still hint to want to play more than coach. Like we get out and we play some intense kickball or wiffle ball um, games at church with our youth. Like I'm like no mercy. I've it's like we have a joke with our son that his name's Curry, and so we call it Curry Wins. And it's like everything. He's so competitive. He gets it after me, and I'm not gonna. I guess I don't know if I'm ashamed or grateful that he took that competitiveness. It's a drive, I guess, more than anything, drive to do good. But it's carried over into him playing baseball. But for me, I love playing. Now as I've gotten older, as I've endured a little bit more injuries, and I'm not quite as easy to get out of the bed the next morning. My back hurts a little bit more.
Oh,
But
my knees were so tender this morning.
yeah, we laid floor in my bonus room. So that's where we're shooting and recording this evening for our podcast. But yeah, man, it's I don't know. I see both sides. I like the coaching aspect. I love to be able to do that, but there's also some frustration in that too because I'm like I don't know. For me, when I was a kid, like you did what the coach said. You didn't really question
Yeah.
it. You don't really like you had to run. I mean, like we hated it at the time, but it was part of conditioning and part of discipline and stuff like that. So, I mean, now it's like they show up when they want to show up, and I'm like, dude, like just be committed to something. Be
Yeah,
committed to
it's
this.
totally changed from when we were athletes, man.
So, for me, I think coaching in that aspect would like if I'm doing baseball, I think when we're doing infield, I would just be like hitting the ball as hard as I could to some of them, but just to kind of get back at them, like you deserve this, so like whoop, bam, line drive.
Well, it's like that TikTok video you see of that dad he's the coach and he's hitting all soft and he's like, "Come on, Johnny, come on." And he's like, "Get out there, Johnny!" He just smokes it to his kid. Yeah, that's how I would be too.
And I am like that to my son. I want him to be. I want to drive him and push him to be better than me, but better than what he was yesterday too.
Oh, absolutely.
So
You got to press on, man.
So when you coach your own son or your own kid, to me that's completely different. You want to see them. Like you don't want them to beat you. Like I remember when my son was doing junior high basketball, I'd take him up to the gym and we'd be playing, and it was like he thought he was gonna beat me. I'm like, nope.
Not
Like,
today.
I'm gonna stuff your stuff to the wall. And I'm not like I will drive. I will put a shoulder down into you. I will step on you as I go up to slap the backboard. But you're not gonna win.
Oh no.
So, and there's times too that, I do the mind game with them too, like all the different things, like especially in basketball, like you can holler at them, or you can, as they're going up for a shot, act like you're gonna hit them in the gut,
Yeah.
or take their feet out from under, so they're real skittish afterwards. So I told my daughter, who's the most meek and mild young lady, I said, when you play basketball, just foul them really hard. Like just once, just foul them hard at the beginning of the game, and that way you just have to like just double
Look
up
at
at
'em.
them. Just look at them and act like you're gonna do something, and they'll just like, oh no,
Yeah.
please don't.
Don't hit me.
Oh,
Cower down.
yeah, but yeah, she didn't. Like we were just pumped when she got a foul. Like I tried to tell her, I was like, you can't take them with you to the next game. You use them all right here. Like you get in for the last 3 minutes of the game, you foul you use all 5 of them.
That's what happened today with Cal. Cal gets off her cruise and second quarter he's got 3 fouls. I was like, whoa, we got to get you up, bud.
We're like I've always told them, and I embarrass my kids too when I go to their games. Like in basketball, I'm like, shots are like dreams. You got to follow them. And they're just looking at me and like, no, it's not my dad.
I know I embarrass my kids, but that's because I'm jumping on them probably.
When my son plays baseball, he told me the other day, he said, I get up to the plate and like everything just goes in slow motion. Everything's quiet. I don't hear anything. Like we'll get in the car or in the truck after the game and like, did you hear me say this? He's like, you were there? I'm like, yeah, I'm at every single one of your baseball games. I'm like I didn't hear you. I'm like, I think he may be lying. He may just be saying that just so I'd stop.
Stop talking to them, yeah. Yeah.
Well, all the other parents heard me. Um, but yeah, so do you when you because you do coach a lot of your kids. It seems like you coach everything that your kids do, which is a great thing. And I think, like you alluded to earlier, is that your job allows you to do that. But when you don't sit, are you like the screaming loud parent?
Oh, absolutely.
Uh,
It kills me right now with Caden being in junior high. It absolutely kills me because I'm like, you know better, and it's like, it just floors me. You know, sometimes like in junior high sports, just in general, because like I said, Texas football, that's what we focus on. And
yeah.
my oldest son, he's 13, but he looks like the size of an 8-year-old. So he has no interest whatsoever in playing football. So
But
and
did he play football his first year?
no, he thought he talked real big about doing it, but
Yeah.
then I think when it came time, he's like, nah, I'm done.
Yeah.
But just I wish we could just kind of spread that love a little bit to some of these other sports for these kids. But it just yes, I'm that loud, crazy parent that's like, come on, push yourself.
So as a coach, do you hate that though? Like when you have a parent like that up in the stands?
Yeah, well, today, right? So my daughter played today, and at halftime, I told the ref, I was like, "Hey, ref, I know it's our ball." And
As a coach?
yeah, as a coach, right? I was like, "Hey, I know which way we're going, but we're going to try to do a trick play and trick the other team like we're lined up on their goal." And I had a parent up in the stands just screaming, "You're going the wrong way, coach!" And I had to turn around and finally tell him like, "Hey, be quiet. We're trying to run a play." And he kind of looked at me like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And the play would have worked perfectly.
Yeah.
It's just Kinley's kind of feeling under the weather today, and she missed her layup, but it worked perfectly.
Yeah.
But I just had to turn around and tell that parent, I'm like, "Be quiet.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing." And so I'm sure that's how other coaches feel about me when I'm yelling.
Does that tame you a little bit when you're up in the stands though, knowing those kind of things?
Yeah, for the most part, unless they're just doing something.
Just stupid.
Yeah, like, Caden at the tournament, last weekend, they were down by 1 and we're not pressing.
Yeah.
And we got like 2 minutes left. I'm like, we got to get the ball back, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm screaming, "Get the ball!" Looking like an idiot up in the stands.
Well, that's your love language is yelling anyway.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh. But yeah, I get it. I think that's really tamed me down. I think one of the things that has tamed me down in the stands, because I could very easily, and I probably still do if I'm watching with my son, but I try not to. I have to come to the realization, because a lot of my frustration isn't so much with the coach, when sometimes it is, but for the large majority of it, I try to look back and think, well, maybe he's doing something for a reason. But my frustration comes with the officiating, like whether it's umpire or the officials on the court or on the field of some sort. That's what I get frustrated. But then even because I've done some officiating for some volleyball when we lived up in Oklahoma.
I've done it too, and you're the most hated person.
Oh, I hate it. Oh,
you're the most hated person. Before the game even starts, people are already talking crap to you.
Yeah, but that's why for me that has really tamed. When I hear people, like we went to the junior high to your son's game Thursday evening, and I'm hearing parents just like barking, like, "Come on, umpire!" Like officials, basketball doesn't have umpires, but just barking at them. Yeah, referees just saying, "That's travel." I'm like, I get that, but they're like 7th and 8th graders. Yes, they need to start learning those things, but every little ticky-tacky thing.
Yeah, no, I agree big time. Even like today, Cal's game they let it get out of hand too fast. And, he was like, "Man, I could blow the whistle and everything." I was like, I understand the traveling aspect, kind of like what you were saying. They need to learn. But when they're just blatantly, like, knocking kids down, I'm just like, you got to start getting it back in control.
Double dribble, quadruple dribble. Dribbling is just...
Even I had a kid, I'm like, call it on him. Like,
yeah.
I had a kid pick up the ball 3 times and dribble. And I'm like, please call it so they'll learn.
Yeah, my mother-in-law almost got thrown out of one of my daughter's basketball games a couple of years ago. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. I don't want to tell too much on her, but she did get thrown out of a church league basketball game when my father-in-law was playing. It's like she's not the type I would ever imagine being that way, but she gets feisty about those things. But I would say for me, as having been an official, man, I'm a lot more patient. I may be frustrated in that moment, but I'm really quick to say no. I don't need to be that way.
Yeah, no.
Because we threw out some people at a volleyball game, and like it was, I called for a public school. And I remember they had a Christian school come in and play, and they were the worst. They were the worst worst fans in the stands that we had out of all of them. And had the coach come up to me and ask for my referee number and all that kind of stuff, and I gave it to her. And she didn't know I was a pastor at the time, and so she's like being real hateful to me. And I turned to her as she was about to walk away. I said, "You know what?" I said, "I'd be a Christian if it weren't for people like you and your fans." And I just turned and walked away. And she just kind of stood there with her mouth open. And, I just turned and walked away.
What?
Yeah. So I don't know if she ever turned my number in. But,
right.
golly, they were I told because we partnered with a buddy that was at the church with me there, too, who was calling these games. And I'm like, dude, I'm not doing this again next year. Like, don't even ask me, because I didn't play volleyball growing up. All I knew was very fundamental, very black and white rule book stuff.
Yeah.
And that's all I knew. Like if I was calling baseball, which I love, or basketball that I loved that I played growing up, man, I think I felt like I would have had a lot more fun. But man, not volleyball, man. Parents are mean. Almost, I didn't cry, but. I sweated my tears out, I guess, more than anything because I was so uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, I know, just, really kind of being on both sides of the ball, it has tamed me down to kind of keep my emotions in check. Like, I'm not the absolute lunatic, but, I do want the best for my kids, and so I am going to try to correct them when no one else is going to correct them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Caden, for some reason, he just doesn't feel like he can shoot the ball, and I'm just like, dude, the only way you're gonna get better is by shooting that open shot. And so I'll scream at him like, shoot the ball, and everyone's like,
let it rain.
Why are you being like that? And I'm just like, no, that's the only way he's gonna get better.
All right, so here's maybe an embarrassing question, but have you ever been thrown out of a game, and then if so, how many times, and what was the reason? Was it justified?
So, I haven't been thrown out of a game, but when I was coaching for CCS, we went down to Waco. We played in Waco, right? And the girls' game, the varsity girls played before us boys, and it was a heated game. The ref showed up 40 minutes late to that game, so he was in a bad mood and all this stuff. And I remember, because I've never seen a coach get a tech this fast as I did. Jump ball goes up. No one has possession. One of my guys grabbed it. A Waco kid grabbed it. And they called a travel. They called a travel on my kid. I'm like, and I step out on the court. I was like, how can it be a travel when nobody has possession of the ball?
I don't see you saying it just
like that.
I
was yelling. I was mad. And he looked at me. He said, "You know what, Coach? Boom, teed me up right there."
10 seconds into
and I was
the
like,
game.
"Are you kidding me?"
Oh.
And I laughed, and he goes, "Boop." He goes, "I'll let you stay, but you have to sit down and coach the entire game." So I had to sit down in my chair, which I don't ever sit when I coach.
Yeah.
Ever sit. And so I had to tell Miss Susan to scoot down a chair, my bookkeeper.
Yeah.
I was like, "Hey, I need you to scoot down." And so for a couple of times, I actually had to stand up with my chair, pulled up to my butt, and kind of walking around and all that. But
put a seatbelt on you.
Yeah, and so he thought that was kind of funny and laughing. And I was like, "It ain't funny." I was like, "This is all because of you being late for 40 minutes. You're going to take it out on me." So
he put you in timeout.
Yeah, so that was a good one for me. But then the other thing, man, this is when I kind of stepped down. I was helping Kayla coach the girls, and we went up to Gordon. You talk about a heated game. that game, and they brought two like newbie refs
Yeah.
to a varsity level game, and it got way out of hand. And I remember that game. After the game, like parents tried to come down. One guy came down and got in my face and like put his nose against my nose and
From the
shoved
other
it.
team?
Yeah,
From the other team, yeah.
he came down and shoved it, and I thought World War III was going to break out. I tried to break every door on the way out. I was so mad.
Royal Rumble.
Oh man.
Uh,
But no, that Waco game, that one still gets. And even some of my kids that I coach, they put that like, what was your most favorable moment when Coach Sparks got teed up on the jump ball? And I was like, oh ha ha ha, very funny guys. But yeah, that's my. I never. Other than that, I've never been kicked out. I mean, I've gotten texts, of course.
I see you
but-
being a little bit like Bobby Knight,
Oh, I would love to throw my chair across the gym, man.
especially in that game, like at the very end, just hurl it across
Yeah.
the floor.
Yeah, I love Bobby Knight, man.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that episode when he throws the chair?
I mean, I've
Or
seen
the game, or the.
I've seen it like highlights of it.
Oh man, that thing went way across the
Oh
floor.
yeah. Oh yeah.
That's greatness.
You never got thrown out of like a little league basketball?
Oh no,
I
never.
thought I remember-
Allen got kicked out of an Allen little league basketball game.
I thought you did last year.
Did I?
I thought you did.
No, I got teed
Oh,
up. last
maybe you
year.
got just a T.
Yeah, Joe Rulis teamed me up last
Yeah.
year, man. He got me good.
Yeah. Did you deserve it though?
Oh yeah, I was giving him crap the whole game. I guess he finally had enough.
Yeah.
But it happens, man.
Yeah.
Because if you don't show that you have that that drive, your teammate ain't gonna have that drive.
Oh yeah,
So,
I get it. Yeah, absolutely.
it don't scare me to get the tech. It scared the crap out of my girls when I got the tech. My daughter's team,
Yeah.
it scared the crap out of them because they didn't know what was going on.
Oh, my.
Like, oh, coaches get kicked out, I was like, oh no, they're shooting free throws that they're gonna miss anyway. So.
Yeah. Well, man, I love talking about this kind of stuff all the time, man, and so hopefully our listeners get a little flavor of that. And but before we end our episode tonight, I want to ask the question that we're going to end every episode is what is a win for you this week?
So, a huge win for me this week was my daughter's team last week. So last week, my son and daughter played at the same time. And so Callan's team, I don't have an assistant coach for, so I had to be there. And Shanna Spillers, which is principal at the high school, she coached the girls' team for me, and they just had an awful game. Nothing against Shanna or anything. The girls just weren't there. And this week, man, they came out and played lights out after a good, solid, hard practice, and just kind of getting back on the right page that we've been on, the last couple seasons, and it was good just to see that come to fruit this week.
Yeah, man, that's totally a win. For me, it's not probably anything about necessarily actually physically winning. It's just, for me, it's a win because baseball is starting up for my son in high school.
Oh, I thought you were going to say this beautiful floor that we laid.
Well, that too. So, I don't know. I can't necessarily say that a win yet. It does look amazing. Like a billion times better than what was there, but my knees and my back aren't quite ready to say it was a win yet.
Oh, mine either, man.
But for me, it is baseball starting up. My son had his first
Super excited.
baseball, high school baseball practice, which all of the UIL and all those kind of things are really weird to me. We practice all the time, regardless, just me and him. But as a team, they had their first practice this Friday. They're supposed to have it again Saturday, but because it got cold, the superintendent wouldn't allow them to be out on the field, so they didn't want to be in a gym again since they were on Friday.
They were in the gym Friday?
They were in the gym Friday. He came home
Even
like
after he went and bought all that?
I know, he just went and bought a bunch of cold weather baseball gear.
Man.
So, but yeah.
It's
that's
going to be
just how-
cold on Friday nights.
Yeah. So for us, when we talk about a win for the week, it can be anything from our family, it can be to a physical win like on the ball field, just a win. Because for me, one of the things that I always love to do is ask, what is the Lord taught you, reminded you, revealed to you, and it's always just being able to look and see the goodness.
Absolutely.
Some of the things that has gone on in our lives, and so many times I think it's so easy for us to focus on
the negative aspect.
yeah,
of
the
everything.
drab of it, and like, oh man, it was rainy, blah blah blah. Man, the Lord's been good to me, and I want to be able to give Him all the glory for those things too. So
Absolutely.
whether we win or lose, I've been on some losing teams. Easton God's still good. He hasn't changed in any regard to that. At least the other team won.
Somebody has to, right?
Somebody does. I would love for it to be me more often.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Don't we all?
yeah. Well, that's it for this episode of Trophy Bros. This is our first one. We'll hopefully get better at them as we go on.
Yeah, excuse my congestion here.
And the ums.
It's been, and the ums.
Yeah.
I've been fighting this congestion all day.
And we'll get better. Our equipment will get better as we go, too. So please bear with us. But we appreciate you listening, watching if you're watching. If you haven't logged into any of these platforms, we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, we're on Amazon Music, and there seems like there's one more else. I can't remember what it is, but
Did you say Apple?
Apple, that's what it was.
There we
Apple
go.
Podcast.
Apple Podcast.
So until next time, we're the Trophy Bros. I'm Caleb,
I'm Kit.
and we'll see you next time.
See ya.